You know what's easier to use than CC Particle World? Way faster to render than a 3D package and looks awesome? That's right, we're making a particle tunnel using Trapcode Particular. Hey, and welcome to Making Wormholes. Last episode, I showed how to use a couple of simple expressions to create the equivalent of Cinema 4D's Align to Spline, and then combined it with CC Particle World to create a tunnel of particles a camera could fly down. I'm using Particular 4, that's the version I own a license to. I know there's a newer version, but Red Giant have switched to a subscription model, and I don't use the plugin enough to justify the cost. In my Particular Galaxy tutorial, a few people pointed out that Trapcode Form would have been a better choice, but I don't have that either. And given the views I got, I'm guessing I'm not the only one who only buys plugins when there's no other choice. The process I'm going to lay out involves using Particular to generate flats arranged in 3D space. Depending on the look you're going for, this can give you anything from pod race style rock arches, to water tunnels, to wormholes. It's that last one we're looking at today. There's a few tutorials out there to show how you can copy and paste paths, but with my method you have the flexibility to adjust the path after everything is done, which can be a big time saver. Let's get started. Here I am in After Effects. I'm using just a 1080p comp, but the units can be adjusted easily enough. And the first thing we need to do is create a new light by going to Layer, New, Light. Name it Emitter. This will let Particular use it as the particle source. Make it a point light and click OK. Hit P to expose the position keyframes, and at 0 seconds, set the Z value back to -4000 pixels. Jump ahead to 10 seconds and set a new Z value to +4000. So in 10 seconds we're travelling 8000 pixels. Everyone who watched the CC Particle World version right now is going, gee, where have I heard that before? Switch the view to front, and at random points between 0 and 10 seconds, use the X and Y axes to add some dips and rises and curves to the light's path. Nothing too extreme, although like I said, you can change this at any point. Once you're happy, with the light's path I mean, not some existential definition of happiness. Thinking about it, if you're hoping to be happy in life by watching After Effects tutorials, I think there's been a big misunderstanding somewhere. Anyway, once you're happy, create a new comp size solid to which you'll add Trapcode Particular. Don't bother with the designer, just expand emitter. For the emitter type, I know we could use an OBJ object, and there are a few torus emitters in there, but that's going to lead to lots of particles, and not as much control over the final look. So I'm sticking with the lights emitter. And because we named our light emitter, Particular picks it up automatically. Cool, but we need to make some changes. Drop all the velocities to 0, and set the emitter size to 0. I'm going to leave the particles per second modifier on light intensity. Speaking of which, on your light, expand its properties on the timeline, and then light properties, and on intensity, set a keyframe at 0 seconds. Right click on it and choose Toggle Hold Keyframe, and at 10 seconds, set a new keyframe with a value of 0. So now when our light is at the end of the tunnel at the 10-second mark, Particular will stop generating particles. And this lets us alter the particles per second number without having to set keyframes. You'll see that in action later. Back in Particular, set the particles per second to 10 for now, and then collapse emitter and expand particle. Set the life to 100 seconds, and the size to 100. Now we need a precomp for our particle texture. Create a new composition, and the size is up to you, but Particular does limit us to a maximum size for a texture of 500 pixels. Make a new comp-sized grey solid. And then go to Effect, Noise and Grain, Turbulent Noise. Last time I used dynamic noise and inverted it to get a cool electric plasma look. This time, let's go with dynamic twist, and use the contrast and brightness to get some shapes to pop. Hold Alt and click on the evolution stopwatch and add time times 1000. This will give us lots of changing textures over the 10 seconds the particles will be generated. Create a new adjustment layer by going to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. and then go to Effect, Generate Circle. Set the radius to be 200 pixels. Expand Feather and set it to about 50. And set the blending mode to Stencil Alpha. Make sure the effect is selected, and then go to Edit, Duplicate. In Circle 2, set the radius to 75 and drop the feather to 15. Check the Invert Circle checkbox, so now we have an adjustment layer cutting out a donut in whatever texture or image we use. Back in the main comp, add your texture comp to the start and turn it off. In Particular, set the particle type to Sprite, and in Texture, select the texture comp. And I chose Random Still Frame, but really all the options are good here. In Rotation, set Orient to Motion to be on, so that the particles are always aligned to the path. And I went ahead and added the same time times 1000 expression to the Rotate Z option. Depending on the look you're going for, you can add some speed to the random Z controls too. And I'm going to set the size random amount to 20% to create some variations in the tunnel width. Oh yeah, external validation time. If you'd be so generous as to click the like button, this will help promote me in YouTube's rankings. And if you're not subscribed, I promise once all the Wormhole variations are published, I only publish a new tutorial every 3 weeks, so you won't get constant notifications. We'll leave Particular for a moment and create a new Null object. Hit enter and rename it Camera Null and make it 3D. Go to Effect, Expression Controls, Slider Control, and rename this effect to Tunnel Position. This is handy at a scale of 100, so we can treat it as a percentage slider for where in the tunnel the null object is. On the timeline, expand its properties until you can see both the tunnel position slider and its position. And then select our emitter light and hit P to expose the position keyframes. On the null's position, use the pick whip to link to the light's position. Expand the expressions dropdown and click into it to edit the expression. And add the following to the end. Dot, value at time, make sure it's in camel case, brackets, and use the pick whip to link to the tunnel position slider. And because we're dealing with a slider from 0 to 100 and the time is only 10 seconds, add in divide by 10. I know we could adjust the slider's max value, but keeping it as a percentage seems more intuitive to me. So now let's add our camera. Same as before, layer, new, camera. Parent it to our camera null and make sure all the properties are zeroed out. But it's not looking in the right direction. To give us flexibility and control, I'm going to use another null and have the camera look at that. But because I've parented the camera, I can't just pick whip its position to the camera's point of interest, so we'll use the look at expression. First we need another null object. Duplicate camera null and rename it to camera POI. Duplicate the camera position slider and rename it to distance and set the value to 2. Double click on the tunnel position slider value. It appears in the timeline. And do the same for the distance slider. Click on camera null and double click to expose that slider. Now use camera POI's tunnel positions pick whip to link it to camera null's tunnel position. And expand the expression and add plus and then pick whip to the distance slider value. So camera POI is now 2% further down the tunnel than our first null, and we can use the distance slider to alter that. Select our camera, expand the transform properties and alt click on the orientation stopwatch. And type look at. And use the pick whip to replace this with camera null's position, and replace 2 point with camera POV's position. Let's take a look at what we've got. Yeah, that just looks wrong, like a furry wormhole. Which also sounds completely wrong. jump back into our texture precomp and change the type to dynamic progressive. And expand transform and drop the scale to 50%. And check that. Great, no more nightmares. Okay, so we're pretty much done, just some final touches. In particular, expand visibility and drop the far vanish to about 700 and the start vanish to 200. This dims the further distances in the tunnel. And then go to Effect, Color Correction, Tritone, and set the midtones to a cool blue or orange or whatever you fancy really. Now, if the camera isn't moving fast enough for you, select the particular layer and add a new slider. Hit enter and rename this to multiplier and set it to 2. Double click this to make sure it's visible in the timeline. Then hold Alt and click on the emitter light's position stopwatch and type x equals value square bracket 0 and after the closing brackets times and pick whip the new slider divide by 2 semicolon. Copy this for y and replace the 0 with 1. Copy again for z and replace with a 2 and remove the divide by 2. Then square brackets x, y, z close brackets. This allows us to use a slider to increase the length of the tunnel. And we also want to increase the wobbles, otherwise we won't notice them. Apologies to the CC Particle World viewers, you saw this exact step in the previous video. I literally copied and pasted it. Now my tunnel is a lot longer, so I'll need to increase the number of particles and probably alter the visibility distances. And that's it! Using the texture precomp as it's set up, you can alter the noise. Look at the difference it makes when I click invert. A totally different, more electric vibe. And check out what happens when I change particular particles blend mode. I think Lighten looks really cool and detailed. And because the adjustment layer is cutting out the hole, I can drop in all sorts of images to get a different look. So that's how to make a particle tunnel or wormhole or vortex using Trapcode Particular. There's some very specific looks from movies and TV shows, and over the next few episodes I'll be detailing those looks, all based off this episode. So for those of you still looking for holistic happiness through After Effects tutorials, then you're right, true happiness can indeed be achieved. Just keep rewatching my videos and I'll be truly happy. Take that, YouTube algorithm.